Alright guys, Papa Pepper back once again for the Abundant Harvest Homestead. By way of disclaimer, I'm not some great wealth of knowledge or some incredibly intelligent person or something like that. But I do like to pay attention, I do like to observe, I do like to ponder, to consider, to really think about different things, to muse really. And that's why I avoid amusement, which is basically entertainment where no brain is required. Amuse, to not think. Don't really like that. I like to think for a bit. So a lot of times people talk about the road of life and heading down the road of life. And as can happen with roads, you'll encounter potholes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about potholes, but they're the potholes in the road of life and kind of as it pertains to relationships. Since I am a father and a husband, a lot of times I look at things from my point of view. It doesn't mean I'm being sexist. It means I'm a male. It means I'm a father, I'm a husband. It doesn't mean I'm against single people or people with no children or anything like that. I just speak from my perspective. I find it kind of lame that I even have to mention something like that, but you should see some of the stuff that I get accused of simply by being married and having kids. Pretty interesting. Anyway, along the road of life, there's potholes. They are guaranteed to be there. Everything deteriorates. People in a relationship, nobody's perfect. They each have their own selfish tendencies. They each have their own points of view. They don't line up perfectly. So as you're driving down the road of life, in a marriage, that'll be the context. It can apply to other relationships, but you're going to hit a pothole. And I found that a number of things happen with that pothole. The pothole will happen, but what you do with it is your choice. And there's some people who that pothole happens and they won't let go of it. And it's like putting your vehicle in reverse and backing up again, and there's the pothole again. And then you put it in drive, and there it is again, and back and forth over this same pothole. That pothole only had to occur in your path of your road of life once. But because you won't let it go and you're just backing up and driving forward, back and over again, you're actually making that pothole get experienced a lot more often, but then you're making it deeper and worse with each time you drive over it. Compare that to driving down the road. Say you hit the pothole. It's some sort of offense, it's some sort of something that comes up between the people in the relationship. Driving down the road of life, it's kind of like driving and the driver's not paying attention. They hit a pothole, you spill your coffee. Well, you're going to be mad at the other driver? Sure, they could have possibly avoided it, but how much is that other driver worth to you? Eventually, you'll stop feeling the burn of that hot coffee on your lap. That person could still be there by your side, or, you can kick them out of the vehicle, say, you're not driving anymore, I'm taking off in this truck on my own. You're going to be on the side of the road. Then next time pothole comes and I spill hot coffee, it'll be my own fault, To me, a relationship, a marriage, whatever it may be, is not worth ruining over one bump in the road. So if you keep driving past that pothole, it's not saying the pothole wasn't there, it's not saying it couldn't have been avoided, it's not saying there wasn't a better way to handle it, but it is saying that that pothole is not more important than the other person. That whatever offense occurred, whatever problem happened is not more important than the person you're in this relationship with. And here's the deal too, some people may say, well, we got to fix that pothole though. Well, that's a possibility. So if you do pull over, figuratively speaking, and you do back up and you go back to that pothole, what you need to do is to find a constructive way to fill in that pothole. Okay? Put it there. That way, if you ever head down that path again, the road is smooth. If somebody else, comes along, I don't know how that applies to a relationship, but that pothole is gone. If you do stop and head back to the pothole, fix it. Repair it. Mend it. Don't just drive back and forth over it and make it worse and worse and worse. That would be kind of, my perspective, because I've seen it happen before. And here's the thing too, is it may not be time to discuss the pothole the second it happens. If this hot coffee jumps all over me and I'm still feeling the burn and the person next to me starts immediately talking, I'm gonna be like, well, hold on a second. Let me deal with this first. Then we'll have a conversation. Okay? Sometimes it's good to get a little bit down the road and then kind of mention it. Be like, hey, I noticed you kind of went over that pothole back there. And they'll be like, yeah, yeah, I was in this relationship. I remember that happening. And he'd be like, yeah, it kind of, you know, made hot coffee spill all over my lap. I was kind of sad about that, kind of hurt about that. It didn't make me feel good. And you could have a constructive, you know, conversation about, but if you try to do it right away sometimes, it's not going to work too, because if I've got hot coffee all over me, I might not be as cool, calm, and collected in a conversation as I would if I got a little bit down the road. So both parties sometimes need time to cool off. You need time to kind of chill out a little bit and be able to actually discuss the pothole that happened. So guys, like I said, I just like to think, I like to consider, I like to use a good illustration, a parable, if you will, you know, a little kind of word picture that kind of puts things in a different perspective. But I've seen marriages destroyed over a pothole. If that couple would have kept driving, they would have been fine. But instead, they pretty much turned into a giant mud pit by just, you know, squealing their tires in that same pothole, till it became something it never should have been. It never should have been that great of a focus. It never should have been that deep of a hole. It never should have been that big of a problem. But they made it one because they wouldn't leave it alone. It's kind of like a wound. You keep picking that wound, eventually you'll have a deep hole, and eventually it'll be a big scar. You let it scab and heal over, eventually it'll heal. You may not even see it, you know, come down the road. But if you won't leave it alone, or you mess with it too quickly, it'll be something it should have never been. So, I don't know. You guys, you're all heading down your own roads in this path to life. For what it's worth, consider those words. If you find some wisdom in it, good. If not, leave some wisdom, so I'll have a better perspective in my relationships in the future. All right, pop out.